All right, hello, it is Saturday, the 19th, and we are here. My name is Tom Lenz Nyback, and this is 365 Days to Racial Change. Welcome, thanks for hanging in there with me. Pleasure to be with you. Let's get to uh, our notes and our what's informing this issue of what blackness is in America, how blackness expresses itself under this white power that takes advantage and takes more than it gives, which is our subject. We're continuing on with the doctrine of unequal exchange today. And it's not just something that happened when European white folks found the Africans in Africa, or the so-called Native Americans here in the Americas, up and down the North Central and South America. What got me onto this subject was a incredible man named Dr. Claude Anderson. Was introduced. We have a mutual friend. He doesn't know me, but this information has just given me a passion. It's helped me understand a lot of things about my life and about the world in general. And we'll get to that in this upcoming year here. I've read 3 of his works. Well, I'm almost finished the 3rd one, but I want you to get these books. Don't just rely on me, because I'm just picking out kind of the things that interest me in the moment. And humans are just everywhere, unpredictable. So there's no linear line. We talk about history, theater, politics, religion, God, spirituality. I might even try to spit some astronomy in there. I don't know. Philosophy. Think about it. Anything that deals with life. So first work I've read of Dr. Claude Anderson is A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. And he's got a lot of videos on YouTube as well. YouTube him. Black Labor, White Wealth is further focus about a lot of these issues, and you'll find that a lot of this is going to boil down to economic issues, and if we keep it there, we can move forward and that'll enable us blacks as a group to bring about some change. I'd like to see in my lifetime. I've been spent and distracted and all that kind of stuff, and some of that's by design of the white power. But now my eyes are opening, and through this born again experience, things are turning around. I've stopped at digging the hole. That's about the best I could do right this moment. And hopefully I'll have enough time to dig my way out, see some daylight, and really make some strides and change for black folks here in America. And a book I'm almost through with, PowerNomics and the National Plan to Empower Black America, and which, Dr. Anderson, he's very clear in this plan. And I want you to know, though, that I'm encountering this information more than a decade after maybe if he had an arc of parabolic arc of kind of a rise to fame. I know he went on speaking. He speaks a lot and had a lot of aspirations, business ideas, especially to revitalize some areas of Detroit, try to establish some economic base. So I'm coming to the conversation late, but it's better late than never. The conversation truly is 300-400 years old, so it's hard to be too late for that. Just jump in there anywhere. And the conditions prevail today, as if you follow the videos and as we will continue getting into a lot of things. Nothing's changed for black people. You'll see Hispanics, Asians, whites continuing to prosper and rise up and find favor in this nation. But the black folks just straight like a flat line. You know, you watch the soap operas. That's black life. We gotta, I mean, people are rising up, and there's business people. I'm going in some business classes with black folks, and addressing those issues. But in general and overall, we got a long way to go. And just so you know, it's not all racism and sadness and strife and stuff. We're going to have story time. We'll get into some fiction here. It's about a little overdue. We should get into another chapter of Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe, a white female abolitionist. And I really appreciate that work. We're going to talk about theater and how the media influences the mind, how important even the written word is. And her work, as it relates to this country, it's interesting that her work here is very esoteric, like a secret. People know the title, but few have read the book, just like the Bible. And what's interesting is when her compilation came out, it was the second bestseller after, you guessed it, the Bible. So here we go into finishing off the Doctrine of Unequal Exchange. You remember, I talk about this term. This term is more like, think about some of the stuff we already talked about. Meritorious manumission, the edict in Maryland in 1638 that said Negroes will not participate or have access to white wealth. I'm paraphrasing there. And then 25 years later, 1663, Maryland passes a law saying all Negroes shall be slaves. You have that. You have we haven't talked much about it yet in depth, but slavery, the way the Europeans enacted slavery in the Americas was different from what the world had done with slavery, and especially in the United States and the colonies. Slavery was probably the most vicious the world has ever seen. So we take that. What I'm getting at is you lump all this stuff together and think about the doctrine of unequal exchange as a briefcase that has all that stuff in there. It's just a nice tidy term that is a blanket over a whole lot of things going on. Boil it down into its essentials, as the white Europeans saw how they could give trinkets and shiny things, broken or outdated weapons or machinery to tribal chiefs and the natives, so to speak, and in return be granted access to people in terms of Africa and great tracts of land in terms of the Americas. Okay, those chiefs didn't have the same value system as the Europeans. The Europeans, it hadn't gotten into full swing yet, but we can call it capitalism. That's what it turned into proper. And but these tribal guys, their value system, well, it just was more organic, more community related. They had no idea that they were being robbed and raped of their wealth and resources in these little exchanges there. So that's a brief history. We're going to get into slavery as the industry of the world. Now that I look back at it, maybe not in the Far East, but definitely in the Middle East, Arabs and a lot of those nations practice slavery. There's still slavery today, and but here in Western culture has the slave idea. But when they started grabbing blacks from Africa, it really turned into a serious business. A lot of money to be made. In the heyday of slavery, a strong or up and coming black man could sell for upwards of $1,800. Can you imagine that? That's $1,800. I don't know what that would be in today's terms, but $1,800 for one man back in the 1800s, and millions of slaves were traded and sold. I also mentioned my personal angst, how the natives fell for this. I guess I would have had to been there. Would I have made the same decisions? Hindsight's 2020. Oh, so now as we I wanted to get more into why this is so dangerous in these last few minutes of today's segment. Is that here this little piece I bought had to bear another pair of Chinese shoes from Walmart, the Chinese outlet, and this paper was in there, and it's the natural marketing strategy, makes the shoe look puffed up, and this and other papers stuffed in there. We do the same thing in America, and but this has Chinese writing on it, and there are some English lettering here. I guess that the name of the company or whatever, but it's interesting, very elegant. It's like some mail from China. I hope they're not mocking me for having to buy their shoes because there's no black tennis shoemaker. So, but I show you that because this doctrine of unequal exchange is about how blacks are still being used in a very slave-like way, and we are still working hard, but our strength and our resources and our wealth are still going to the white power, and or in this case the Asians or the Hispanics. These groups are over us economically and have favor in America, and our income goes to them, and so we're still working for the power. We're not gathering back. Dr. Anderson estimates around 2% or less than 2% of our disposable income comes back to us. And, that's a sad thing, but conversely, he says that the whites, they get their income circulates within their community, and they continue to scoop up and glean more wealth from black labor. We're just not that far from slavery. The blacks, the appearance is freedom, but if we try to establish businesses, or we want to get hired, or we want to rise up, we want to get land or get better education. These things are going to generate some resistance from the white power in the American community. So that's one way that the doctrine of unequal exchange is still very much alive. Blacks are still disproportionately represented in the jails going through the penal system. I even got my little misdemeanor from a drug charge. And, even when I was going through the process, I'm like, well, what are you guys, bored? You trying to, in my mind, I'm saying, are you trying to get a quota or something? Excuse me, because, it was I was breaking the law at that one hand, but it was a non-issue charge, them coming sweeping into the a known drug corner and just gripping up people, like it was a surprise thing. The police know where the drugs are. They know where it's coming in. They know who's got it. They know all that stuff. They can clean the drug thing up in a heartbeat. Right now there's an opioid. That's an opioid epidemic. Crack was killing black folks, and we were fighting over it and getting hooked and stuff. Too bad for the black folks. But now this opioid thing is in the white community. Oh boy, they're up in arms and putting all kinds of resources towards it. With the loss of our disposable income, with no or little use value, comes an interesting phenomenon where we talked before how the Asians, Arabs, non-black groups come into black neighborhoods and set up their bodegas and stores. The Asians are locked. They got black hair care, black beautification. They're starting to lock that down, right? They come into those communities, neighborhoods, suck out. They're like vacuum cleaners, and they suck out the wealth from those communities and take them back to their homelands and their communities and their gated places and stuff. I look and I think about law enforcement, riding around in their nice SUVs up and down the black neighborhoods, but they don't live in the black neighborhoods. They live somewhere way out in the suburbs and maybe even a gated community, with it's quiet and peaceful and zero crime, because their needs are adequately met. They've got the resources. They want for nothing. There's no stress in making the ends meet. They have surplus upon surplus, and it's generational wealth that they're passing on to one another. Blacks are stressed and have to compete. That's one thing I'll say about black folks. We've come through some stuff. We definitely are resilient. We have some strength. That is a truism that the Europeans saw, but that we can't let them take advantage anymore. Even if it's just awareness. But yeah, I have to. There's no black shoemaker yet, and I have to buy a Chinese shoe. That's right, but I'm aware of this money and where it's going. All right. So a result of this phenomenon of other races coming into black communities, exporting the wealth out of there, is that there is no tax base. Blacks can't form a tax base to improve their own communities because they're spending it Their money's going out of the community, out of the neighborhood. It's not staying in the neighborhood. You know, I used to eat at I don't know if these people were Italian or Mediterranean or something. They're all right folks, but their patriarch, he's been passed away, I guess, for a while. You know, I don't know anything personally about the family, but I know that in his heyday, he's got pictures. There are pictures all over this restaurant. I love to get smothered enchiladas, a lot of cheese, and where he's would sponsor um, soccer teams and things like that. And you don't see the Asians or the Hispanics or their bodegas pouring their money into black uh, sports for black elementary kids and things like that. That doesn't happen. You know, they have their um, little um, brick and mortar, I don't know, financial vortex to just take the resources out. So now there's no money left um, for what blacks really need, you know, which is the better schools, better education, access to infrastructure. They don't give blacks jobs, you know, that type of thing. There's an example of this doctrine of unequal exchange where blacks, and I hope I'm hoping we are, as a community, as a group, coming to some awareness, some understanding how deep this is, how far it goes. It's got momentum and inertia and all that, but if we can just be aware, that's one of the first steps towards bringing about some racial change here in America. Um, some of my things that I was thinking about as I was studying this doctrine of unequal exchange is, you know, if I could ever get really motivated and mobile and active, you know, I would try to put in place or encourage my community. If I was in a black community, I'm in a different circumstance right now, but say, hey, you put a business in here, that business gives back to the community. You don't just pay your electric and your taxes and your bills and refuse us employment and then lock it up, and you go back home to your gated community and your quiet living, you know, improve the community in some way, you know, and improve the lives, invest in the lives of the people in the community. Um, and the other issue that actually comes up consistently in these talks throughout this year is going to be how blacks continue to support communities and organizations that are hostile to them, and we do it with such a profound level of ignorance. That's the only thing I can call it. That I participate. The Asians have no love for black folks. Um, I said it at the top of this segment. You'll read it in the notes of some things, you know. Oh, where do you start about black folks always showing up, always there, always um, so compliant and expecting the white power Like we just expect the white power to just do the right thing. We love symbols and uh, without ever getting um, wealth and resources. You know, this as I'm talking to you here today, I mean, this is worse than Charlie Brown trying to kick that damn football. It's not, you know, it's incredible. My hope is, uh, personally, that now that I'm aware and have some idea of what's going on and what I'm looking at, I wear glasses and I'm up close to you, so I don't need them close up. It's just things far away just get blurrier and blurrier. I see blurs. But if we could put on our proper glasses, we call them slave-colored glasses, black-colored glasses, whatever, so that we have an accurate idea of what's going on in our lives. What's happening? I said at the top about me looking at a picture of myself a few years ago, really trying to uh, be a part of. I was trying to break in because I knew I was on the outside. Something, I came to a point where I knew the community was not, me and the community where I was at the time was not connecting, clicking at all. You know, you know, their freedom was my confinement. You know, my uh, ideas and thoughts that may be contrary were their threats. It was a threat to them. You know, so I had no idea that the expectation on a black man was uh, such that he could not, such that I could not um, express myself or participate just as the other people were. And I can't tell you, like, that has happened to me so much, and be taken aback, and I backpedal and try to adjust myself and my life to make everybody happy. But I had no idea how the impact of racism, how that is woven in. It's woven in so deeply into the tapestry of American life. Um, how can I say it? It's such a part of American life that it defies being recognized. It defies um, revelation. That's um, that's how much a part of American life racism is. One of these people, as a side note, one of these people wasn't even from America, but she was white and she fell right in. You wouldn't know the difference in behavior, just in speech. But that's it. It's like your heartbeat. Think about your heartbeat, huh? You know, uh, there was a yoga master or something. He could concentrate real hard and stop his heartbeat and stuff, and that was dangerous, right? But your heartbeat, it's happening, it's functioning, it's going in. Your brain is sending some bump, bump, a signal, dum, 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 and you've lived with it all your life. And the only way you can really understand it is if you feel your pulse or your heartbeat. You know, but otherwise you're just going through your day. You don't think about your heartbeat. It is, it's woven into the fabric of your life. That's racism in America. You know, it hates to be named, hates to be exposed, hates to be attributed to everything. Its power is in the way it works in secret. You know? So I want to expose as much as I can in this brief 365 days. So I'm Tomlin's Nyback. That's the Doctrine of Unequal Exchange. Share these links and these talks and these notes with anyone you think may be interested. Maybe you can be my ambassador on these talks. Just put it out there. You've got some friends. You know, it doesn't cost any money. I've got some ideas, maybe some books or magazine subscriptions next year. But for now, I'd love to see if the community's growing or anything like that. I don't need any encouragement because this is my personal year-long project. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see what we can get into tomorrow. I'm Tomlin's Nyback. We'll see you soon.